Greetings, students. I hope all of you are doing well. Uh, the reason why I'm making this video is because I felt that among the last results, a lot of students are suffering in reading. So they're able to score well in the other sections, but in reading they are not able to reach that 6 bands or 6.5 bands, whatever is required. Uh, One of the problem which I have seen is the way the passage is attended. So a lot of time students are under a time crunch, so they're trying to answer as many questions as they can, but at the same time they are not focusing that much on accuracy. uh, I would like to point out one obvious thing over here, which is that you only need 26 correct answers in order to reach 6.5 bands, or 23 correct answers to get 6 bands. All right, so just be wary about your goal before you start your reading test. So what I'm going to do over here is that I'm going to do a reading test, and we're going to do it in a timed way. However, instead of 60 minutes, we're going to take around 70 minutes, because obviously I'll be discussing things as we go along, and our goal is that within that time frame we want to get 26 correct answers without compromising on the accuracy of the answers. Okay, so let us start. So we'll start with the first passage. The time right now is 7:04. So okay, so we can start now. Let's say it's 7:05. So the reading passage 1 is Aphantasia, a life without mental images. Don't stress too much if you don't know a word, because most probably you don't need to understand it if it's that complex. But do try to read anything that is highlighted, or if there is an image or a diagram, just briefly peruse through that. So over here it says, close your eyes and imagine walking along a sandy beach and then gazing over the horizon as the sun rises. How clear is the image that springs to mind? So probably they're talking about people who are suffering from something where um, they can't imagine or something like that. So we're not going to read a lot. We're just going to go through the questions straight away. So over here we have true, false, not given. There are 8 true, false, not given, and then we have complete the sentences below. So then there are 9 to 13. So between these two type of questions, you can choose any of them. However, I'm going to choose 9 to 13 because comparatively it will be easy to locate this type of questions. So let's read the first question. Now, one of the problem that students face is that while reading the question, they don't understand the question as thoroughly as is needed to find the answer in the first attempt. What I mean by that is, if you just read the question for keywords, there is a chance you might get the wrong answer, or it might take you more time to find the correct answer. So let's see if we can do it. So it's only a small fraction of people have imagination as dash as Lauren does, as high as low as. So this is the first step, which is prediction. So here, as you can see, the first word is before the blank is as, and over here also it is as. So think about a phrase where it has an as in the beginning and as towards the end, and you will be able to predict there might be something comparison. So we're gonna go with Lauren and small fraction, comparison of Lauren's imagination with someone else. Let's see if we can locate Lauren. So over here, no Lauren. Over here, no. Neil. Okay, there it is, Lauren. Whose work on series will be familiar to many. 6 years old, her career relies on the vivid image that leap into her mind's eye when she reads text from her author. When I met her, the text, I can visualize in front of not many people. So not many people means a small fraction. Okay, have mental imaginary as vibrant as. So the first answer is vibrant. So we're gonna write vibrant over here. Okay, vibrant. Next, hyperphantasia is dash to aphantasia, is opposite to, is contradictory to, because here the prefix is hyper and here is a. So if you know the word structure, you would know that asymmetrical is something which is not symmetrical, and hypersymmetrical can be something like which is over symmetrical. So hyper is usually used વધારેની વસ્તુ માટે હાઇપર વપરાતું હોય, અને આગળ એડ થતું હોય પ્રિફિક્સ તરીકે, તો એ એબ્સન્સના લીધે યુઝ થતું હોય. બરાબર. So let's look at hyper and okay, so okay. Okay, so Adam Zeman, a professor cognitive behavioral neurology, wants to compare the life and experiences of people with aphantasia and its polar opposite. Polar opposite. So can we fit polar opposite? Hyperphantasia is, okay, so let's see if we can write polar opposite. Do not try to add an article over here because it's not mentioned in the question, right? So the better thing to do is use the same wording as is in, sorry, it's not mentioned in the passage, so use the same wording, polar opposite. Okay, so whatever is written here, you use that. So okay, next, there are a lot of subjectivity in comparing people's imagination. Somebody's vivid scene could be another person's dash. So subjectivity is the keyword here. If you don't understand what it means by subjectivity, then this can be a difficult question for you, but it should be all right. Okay, let us assume that we don't know what subjectivity is, but here we need to focus on this part, which is somebody's vivid scene. Now obviously you need to have a basic understanding of what a vivid means. So I can say Malhar's vivid scene. So vivid scene can be, I'm talking about rainbow and a unicorn, maybe, you know, can be another person's nightmare. Or because see, it will be something opposite to vivid scene. Now it's not necessary that in the passage vivid scene would be written. Okay, so let's see whether we can find something related to vivid scene. People who have contacted us say they are delighted that his has been recognized and been given a name, because trying to explain, people find hard to convey. How we imagine is clearly very subjective. Okay, so there we found our first keyword. One person's vivid scene could be another's grainy picture. So we're gonna go with grainy picture. Grainy picture. Okay, now we have answered 3 questions. It's been 7:11, so we have spent around 6 minutes. Don't worry too much about it, as long as you are meeting 2 to 3 minute mark for each question. All right, okay, let's move on to the next one. Number 12, Professor Zeman is dash that aphantasia is not an illness, is sure. So as I said, whenever you get a blank, you try to use prediction to understand what type of words can fit over that. So number 12 will be Professor Zeman is sure. Okay, so what are Professor Zeman's view about aphantasia? Let us see if we can find it. It's clear that aphantasia is certain that aphantasia is real. Okay, is real. So he agrees, is certain that, but what about illness? Does it treat it as illness? People often report being able to dream in pictures, and there have been reported cases of people losing the ability to think in images after a brain surgery. He is adamant that aphantasia is not a disorder. So disorder means illness. So here is not an illness, is not a disorder, is adamant. Now here the answer will be adamant, but A lot of times students will choose this as the answer. So this is the first question which has a trap in it. Okay, so a lot of times students are focused on the is part, and they'll probably write, okay, so it's there, certain is the answer. But if you would have focused on the later part of the question, you know that the answer would be adamant. So okay, if you don't know the spelling to the adamant, it's all right, just refer to the passage, right? Okay, now number 13, many people spend their lives with dash somewhere in the mind's eye. Many people spend their lives with something that they possess. So obviously it will come after this part. Okay, so says it affect 1 in 50 people. I think it makes quite an important difference to their experiences of life, because many of us spend, so here, our lives with imaginary hovering somewhere in the mind's eye, with imaginary hovering. All right, okay, so we have answered 5 questions in almost it's 7:14, so we have spent around, I would say, 9 minutes, which should be all right. Let's move on to true false not given. Aphantasia is a condition which describes people for whom it is hard to visualize mental images. So let's go to the top. A life without mental images, condition in which people are unable to visualize mental images. So the answer is, it is hard. Is it hard for them, or it's not possible? Some people are unable to visualize mental images, so describes people for whom it is hard, so it's true. Neil Kenmure was unable to count sheep in his head. Let's find this person. Neil Kenmure had a blind man's eye. He was different. When I couldn't sleep, told me to count sheep, and he explained what he meant. I tried to do it and I couldn't see any ships jumping over the fences. There was nothing to count. So Neil Kilmer was unable to count sheep. True. Okay, next. People with aphantasia struggle to remember personal traits and clothing of different people. So there are 2 parts to this question. Personal traits, so like whether someone is funny, whether someone is humorous, or clothes. Let's look at for those things. Okay, type 2 images. Think about wedding, first day at schools. Neil admits some aspects are terrible, but he is very good at remembering facts, and like others, he struggles to recognize faces. So he cannot remember faces, but he can remember facts. Okay, so if someone is funny or not, that's not a face, that's a fact. Okay, but is it mentioned? Now a lot of time people will assume something, but I'm gonna go with not given. All right. Neil regrets that he cannot portray an image of his fiancée in his mind. Let's see. Non-fiction IELTS, his condition, pictureless mind. I asked him, he tries to picture his fiancée. This is the hardest thing to describe. What happens in my head when I think about things? When I think about my fiancée, there is no image, but I'm definitely thinking about her. I know today she has her hair up at the back, she's a brunette, but I'm not describing an image I'm looking at. I'm describing features about her, and that's the strangest thing. So the question is, does he regret that he cannot portray an image? Let's see whether the regret part is there or not. So when someone is regretting something, probably they have written it somewhere like sad, or they're not happy about it, right? Okay, so let's see whether he regrets it or not. He is very relaxed. Okay, Does he regret it? Well, he is relaxed, so I don't think he is regretting it. So I'm gonna go with no, false. All right, okay. Inability to picture something in someone's head is often a cause of distress for a person. So if people are not able to imagine things, inability to picture things, it's a cause of distress. Let's see, for people, so they're talking about for a person, is it a cause of distress? It is often a cause of distress for others. So more frequently it is a cause of distress, so we're going to go with true. Next, all the people with aphantasia start to feel isolated and alone at some point of their life. Do they feel isolated? One person said isolated and alone after discovering that other people, so being unable to. Okay, so now here you need to be very careful, right? Because these exact words are used, however they're talking about only one person. Okay, now if you look over here, they say all people. Now unless and until all people is not mentioned over here, okay, we can't make an assumption. Okay, so there are three possible answers. There's true, false, or not given. Now here it would have been true if instead of one person they would have written most of the people, but they have not written that. It would have been false if they would have said a trial was conducted and out of 100 only one person was able to do that. Again, that is also not mentioned. Okay, so because we don't know how many people took part in the aphantasia study. So the last option that is left with us would be not given. All right, okay, next. Lauren Breard's career depends on her imagination. Does her career depend on imagination? Lauren Breard, okay. At the other end of the spectrum is children's book illustrator whose work on fairy tale hairdresser series will be familiar to many 6-year. Her career relies on her women image. Okay, so that would be true. It does depend on it. Last one. The author met Lauren when she was working on a comedy scene in her next book. So here the worst variable is comedy scene. Was she working on a comedy scene? Okay, when I met her in her boxroom studio in Manchester, she was working on a dramatic scene, not a comedy scene, a dramatic scene. The text describes a baby perilously climbing on to a chandelier. Chandelier means tumor. So obviously it's not a comedy scene, right? So was it a comedy scene? False. Now it's 7:20, so that means we have taken 15 minutes to answer this particular passage. Imagine that, let's say you take 5 more minutes or even 10 more minutes. Okay, let's see if we can check the answers. Check. So we got 3 incorrect, which is quite all right because our goal is to get 26 correct answers. Okay, so we got 1, 2 and 3, and now I don't know how we got that one wrong, but let's see. Okay, so I got the spelling of imaginary wrong, so this one actually would be correct. Imaginary hovering. Let's see why I got that wrong. Okay, so I got the spelling wrong, so you need to be careful while copying things, right? Okay, so I'll just copy it. Okay, right answer. I'll just check again. All right, so we got 11 correct. That's all right. Okay, no need to panic. You know, if you would have taken more time, obviously you would have got it, you would have probably got all 13 correct. But as I said, for academic students, their goal is 26 correct answers in 1 hour, and we have got 11. So now we need 15 correct answers. All right, so this is the first part of the video. I'm going to upload the other 2 parts. So we're going to mark this part at 20 minutes. So we have taken 20 minutes, we have got 11 correct answers, including the transfer time. All right. um, and like again, thank you very much for watching the video. Those of you who don't know me, it's Malhar sir. Um and I do sincerely believe that all of our VIEC students should be able to score well if they just focus on where they lack. Now, uh, I'm gonna actually I should continue. I guess I'll continue. I have free time. So let's move on to the section 2. Okay, so we got 11 correct. We need 15 more. Let's move on to the next section. So obviously it will be a bit more challenging than the first one. So let's read the heading, which is life lessons from villains, crooks and gangsters. Okay, so probably they're talking about what villains, crooks and gangsters you can learn from, what you can learn from them. As you can easily see, there is A, B, C, D given, so there probably would be headings here, or which paragraph contains which information, and sentences, complete the sentences, right? Oh, okay, so the main goal of the article, obviously you should attend this question towards the end. Match the paragraph below. Okay, so match the headings below with the paragraph. So these are the headings and we need to obviously answer those, and then we got complete the sentences. Now, so we'll first finish this, which is 22 to 25, then we will go to 14 to 21, and then we will answer 26. All right, okay, let's start with 22. To escape from a prison, Jacqueline had to use such traits as creative thinking, long-term planning, and what was the third trait? So you need to look for Jacqueline, creative thinking and long-term planning. So okay, there it is. Jacqueline slipped out of prison cell through a tiny hole that led to a creative thinking, long-term planning and perseverance. Okay, so I'm just going to use that. Now here you need to be careful, it's only one word, so that makes the blanks that much easier. The Sinaloa cartel, don't worry about words that you don't know the meaning too much, right? Cartel is like a gang. Sinaloa built a grand underground tunnel and even used a dash to avoid the fence. So underground tunnel, what did they use along with the underground tunnel to avoid the fence? Like, let's look at the cartel, Sinaloa cartel. Most probably it will be below the first answer that we found. So there it is. For example, Sinaloa cartel went to great lengths. It built a vast underground tunnel, hired family members as border agents, and even used a catapult. Now here you might be confused, what should be the answer? Should it be family members as border agents or catapult? But if you look at the question, it says used a. So you need to write catapult. Used a catapult. Control C, Control V. Moving on. The main difference between two groups is that criminals, unlike large corporations, often have encoded into their daily life. So we need to find a paragraph where they're comparing criminals with large corporations and what they have encoded, means embedded into their daily life. So obviously it will be somewhere here. So many legitimate businesses hesitate to adapt quickly. Blockbuster lost business to mail order streaming. The brand has all faded with from view. Two group. Okay, criminal often have improvisation encoded into their daily behavior. So we're gonna write improvisation. Obviously you cannot change the form of the word in filling the blanks, so just be careful, right? Often have improvisation. All right, next. Due to being persuasive, Walid found a dash of Amish camel milk farmers. Found a group of Amish camel milk farmers. Okay, so the word we are looking for is Walid. Walid, where is Walid? Okay, I can't find one here. Okay, there it is, valid. Saudi entrepreneur is a prime example. Worked with Amish farmers to bring camel milk to American consumers even before you were recruited through perseverance. Found a network. So what we're talking about, found a network. Found a network. So the answer will be network. Network. All right. Okay. Now, before we start answering this, let us analyze what we have understood so far. So the thing is that we already read this, okay, and we have read C, we have read a little bit of D, and we have read a little bit of E. So I'm going to go with C first because it's a small paragraph. So I'm just going to read it again just to understand. It's 7:28 now, so we have spent around 23 minutes since the time we started. So let's talk about paragraph C. It says, Joaquin, the head of Mexican cartel, slipped out of his prison through a tiny there is someone calling me right now. I'll just decline it, I guess. I don't know. It's from, I think it was on a Facebook. Sorry. Let me sort it out. Okay, I don't know who called me. Sorry for this. Maybe someone called me on WhatsApp. Oh yeah, okay. Call me after 40 minutes. Busy now. Alright, sorry. Okay, as I was saying, making a break for it required creative thinking, long-term planning, and perseverance, essential skills similar to those needed to achieve success in big business. What is this particular paragraph talking about? So it's talking about someone or similarity or skills needed or skills that conmen or gangsters they possess which are needed to be successful in big businesses, right? So jailbreak with creative thinking can be 5 common traits. So they only mentioned 3, so 15 cannot be the answer. Comparison between criminals and traditional businessmen, probably yes. All right, it can be the answer. Can drug barons escape teach legitimate corporation? Yes. So we have 15, 16, 17, both can be the answer. Great entrepreneur. So I guess 18 will be the answer to age. Okay, because they're talking about a Saudi entrepreneur. So unless and until in some other paragraph they're talking about a great entrepreneur, I'm just going to write age here. How criminal groups deceive the law? No. The difference between legal and illegal? Nope. The similarities between criminals and startup founders. Did they talk about that? I am not 100% sure. So I'm just gonna write no. Okay, so in real exam, what you can do is that you can, as I said, you can just write multiple answers. Let's say you find that the answer or C would fit in both 16 and 17, so you just write that, and then later on you come back, or once you thoroughly screen through, once you use elimination, you should be able to perform well. All right, okay, so where were we? Okay, yeah, so we were talking about paragraph C. So we feel that the answer can be 14, 16, or 17. Can drug barons escape teach legitimate corporation? So let's see if he was a drug baron. Yes, he was the drug cartel. Can it teach legitimate business? The paragraph is not talking about that. The paragraph is not talking about what businesses can learn from the drug cartel or the head of the drug cartel. They're just saying that these are the skills that he possessed, and those skills are similar to what one would need to be successful. Alright, so 17 cannot be the answer. 16, comparison between criminals and traditional businessmen. Nope, so we're not comparing criminals with traditional businessmen. So the answer will be jailbreak with creative thinking. So I'm just going to write C here. Alright, okay. Next, let's look at the following one, which is, while David Lindell, who heads brand strategy for Seattle-based design consultancy, condemns the violence, he became curious as to how criminal groups endure. Some cartels stay in business despite multiple efforts by law enforcement. Lindell genuinely believes there is a lesson in longevity there. One strategy is how bad guys respond to change. So what Lindell is saying that you can learn from bad guys in order to bypass the border between, for example, Sinaloa cartel went to great length, vast underground tunnels, hired family members as border agents, and even used a catapult to circumvent a high-tech fence. Okay, so we are talking about 5 common traits. Nope. Comparison between criminals. Nope. Can drug barons escape? So no one is talking about escape, right? H is already gone. How criminal groups can deceive the law. So this can be the answer because we are talking about how they deceive the law, and this is where it is mentioned. So we're just going to write D here. All right. The difference between legal and illegal organizations. No. Similarity between criminals and startup founders. Obviously not. We're going to finish A and B as well. Alright, okay. Next, a notorious Mexican drug baron's audacious escape from prison in July doesn't at first appear to have much to teach. Sorry, I haven't slept much, so that's why I'm yawning. Please excuse me for that. Let us continue. So someone escaped, and that would teach corporate boards, but some in the business world suggest otherwise. Some business gurus says that organized crime syndicates, others operating outside the law, could teach someone 1 or 2 things about hustle and respond to rapid change. So this one should be very, very obvious. Can drug barons escape teach legitimate corporation? That would be our answer. All right. Okay. Next, far from encouraging legality, these gurus argue that in the same way big corporations sometimes emulate startups. Business leader could learn from the underworld, flexibility, innovation, and ability to pivot quickly. Numbleness to criminal organizations that legacy corporations don't have. Don't worry about if you don't know the meaning to nimbleness. While traditional businesses focus on the rules they have to follow, criminals look to circumvent them. For criminals, the sky is the limit, and that creates the opportunity to think much, much bigger. What did the paragraph talk about? Let's understand that. So they're talking about comparison. All right. So they're comparing criminals with business. They're saying that businesses have to follow rules while criminals don't. That's why the sky is the limit for them, and they can learn something from them. So the comparison would fit over here. So we're just going to write B here. Okay, because the other options, they just don't fit, right? So we got 5 common traits. So they're not talking about that. The difference between legal and illegal organizations. So we are talking about legal entities and criminals. So again, that won't fall. And similarities between criminals and startup. That's not the main point. Now here some students might choose it because they have written startups here to confuse you, but that's not the answer. So we got A, B, C. I think E is remaining. Okay. Let's talk about E. By contrast, many legitimate business fail because they hesitate to adapt quickly to changing. So what they're saying is that businesses are not able to adapt quickly, legitimate business or legal business. And then they're giving an example of a game rental company called Blockbuster, who was not able to sustain due to streaming technologies. The brand has all but faded from view. Lidl argues the difference between the two groups. Which two groups? Is that okay? So they're talking about a legitimate business and criminal organization, which is the second group. Often have improvisation encoded in their daily behavior, while large companies think of innovation as a set process. This is a leadership challenge. How well companies innovate and organize is a reflection of a leadership. Okay, so they're comparing criminal organizations with legitimate business. E. So obviously, as you would have guessed it correct, the answer is number 20. All right. Okay, next is, so we've done A, B, C, D, E. F is remaining. Cash-strapped startups use unorthodox strategies to problem solving. Okay. Build their business from scratch. This creativity born out of necessity, tight budget, both criminals and startup. Okay, look here. So now they're talking about similarities between criminals and startup founder. Either they become Elon Musk or Al Capone. Maybe Al Capone is one of the criminal, right? So let's go through the option. We only have two options left. Similarities between criminal and startup founders. We're going to go with this. And the last option will be G. Now before you answer G, see if you can identify 5 common traits quickly in G. Okay. Oh, there it is. Excuse me. Sorry. Hustle, pivot, provoke, hack, and copycat. 5 common traits, right? So at least we know that G is correct. Thank God. Okay, and let's look at 26. No need to read the passage. We already know what the passage is about. Is it about show different ways of illegal activities? Is it about give an overview of various criminals and their gangs? So obviously A and B is not the answer, because they're also talking about legal activities. They're talking about business things which businesses can learn from criminals, or similarities between criminals and business leaders, right? So either it will be C or D. Let's talk about C. Draw a comparison between legal and illegal businesses and providing examples. Excellent goal of the article. So C can be the positive answer, or D. Justify criminals with creative thinking. So the passage is not saying that committing a crime is a good thing. Okay, so it's not justifying it. It's just saying that you can learn something from the criminals. So we're gonna go with C. And let's check our answer. Okay, we got all correct. So we had 11 correct answers in the first section and 13 over here. That brings the total to 24. Now it is 7:40 right now. That means we have spent 35 minutes. Assuming that you take maybe 15 minutes more than me, let's assume that we are at a 50-minute mark. Okay, and we only have 10 minutes remaining, and we only need 2 to 3 correct answers. So our next goal is to get 2 to 3 correct answers in next 10 minutes. So let's move on to the next section, section 3. All right, okay. Britain needs a strong TV industry. I don't know, maybe something about Britain not having a TV industry or something. It's a small paragraph, I guess, but well, let's see. So we got true, false, not given. Very good. We got choose the correct letter, and we got summary. All right, okay. Now since I only have 10 minutes, my goal is to get as many questions correct as possible. Which one would you choose? Would you choose true, false, not given, A, B, C, D, electives, or summary? A wise student would choose summary. Why? Because you cannot guess in summary. In the other two, you can guess. So the best thing for us to do would be to guess, because we only have 10 minutes remaining, right? So we're just going to guess true for all. And here you can just choose any option. So I'm just going to go with A for all. All right? You can choose accordingly. Doesn't matter. Now, I'm going to spend 10 minutes answering these 5 questions, and I'll make sure that I get at least 3 or 4 correct, right? Okay. So let's see. Lanuki recommended increasing BBC's you need to maintain a good composure. I don't want VIEC students to panic. Okay, I don't want any of our students to panic. That's one of the worst thing you can do towards the end. You only have 10 minutes remaining and you're panicking. When you panic, you can never find the correct answer. All right, so just relax. Lanucci recommended increasing BBC's profit by pushing ourselves more. Okay, so it says no more than 2 words. More, by pushing ourselves more international. Probably. Let's talk about what Lanucci recommended for BBC's profit. Lanucci. I don't know where Lanucci is. So first we're going to find Lanucci. So you need to be calm, right? Okay, so there it is, Lanucci. Faced with a global audience, British television needs its champion supporters. He continued his praise. Emulating the best you modeling themselves. He said blah blah blah. We have changed international viewing for better. So praised if so see what I'm looking for is think they're talking about pushing ourselves more for BBC's profit, how to make it more profitable. All right. Oh, okay, so Lanucci is starting from here, my mistake, sorry. mm, he delivered. So we want to look for where he's talking about profit. So you're talking about funding here. You need to be calm. Don't panic. Okay, pushing ourselves, right? More commercially abroad. So we're gonna write pushing ourselves commercially abroad. Now this was an easy blank. Why? Because the same wording is there in the passage, right? But you need to be calm to find it out, because as you can see, there's a lot of paragraph, a lot of passage in front before the answer comes along, right? So that is where a student make mistake. They try to find an answer where there is no answer. Okay, next. He suggests being more aggressive in selling British shows through advertising and proper international exposure, maybe. Let's look about advertising and international exposure or something like that. Where is he talking about advertising and use reputation, selling our shows? Okay, so there's advertising and proper international subscription channels. So we're just gonna write subscription channels, international subscription channels. Okay, next, 38. Also, he invokes producers to stop being what? Stop being rude, stop being narrow-minded, stop being stingy, because they're talking about they should and modest about making money and invest into even better quality shows. So what does he tell producers to stop being? So let's go to the top. Now we only have 4 minutes remaining, so we'll just answer these questions and then this particular question, and then we're gonna submit it because we don't have much time, right? So where were we? Okay, I'm lost. Yeah, somewhere here. Don't be icky. Okay, so he's asking them not to be icky. Stop being icky and modest about making money and invest into even better shows, maybe. Because we have time, so we'll let monetize the bejesus, Mary and Joseph out of our programs abroad so that money can come back. Take some pressure off the license fee at home. So what would fit? Invest into even come back, take some pressure off, invested in more ambitious quality, more ambitious. So invest into even ambitious quality shows, maybe. Okay, we're gonna choose ambitious because we are running short of time. And there you go, and we're gonna check. Okay, so we got 39 wrong. Let's see what's the answer. More ambitious. Okay, my mistake. Into even more ambitious. Okay, doesn't matter. Why? Because we got 7 correct. Now if you make the total, that is 11 plus 13 plus 7, which brings your total to 31 correct answers out of 40. Okay, IELTS reading score. Okay, so that would be around 7 bands. Oh, now did you see that? Now this also applies to general students, not just academic students. By maintaining a calm composure throughout the reading test, by focusing on the accuracy in the first 2 sections. Now I'm not saying that every time in the 3rd section you will get like MCQ or true false where you can predict. Luckily we were able to predict. If we were not able to predict, if we exclude those 4, still we would have 11 plus 13 plus 3, which will bring the total to 27, which will bring us to 6.5 bands. All right, now that is what most of the academic students need. So please, oh please, while answering reading test, be focused, don't panic, focus on accuracy, because it's way more important than attending all the 40 questions, because even a monkey can attend 40 questions. It's not about just attending those questions, right? It's about getting them right. It's a test. Okay, so I hope this video would have been informative. If you do like it, do share, comment, or subscribe to our channel. I guess I'll make more videos. If you have any doubts or queries, you can always post or message me, and I'll try to revert back to you. I hope all of you get your desired band score, and I'll make another video as soon as I get free time. Thank you very much. It's Malhar sir. I hope to see you. I hope that all of you do achieve your desired band score. Okay, have a nice day.